Well, we're here with Thomas Arts, core developer of aeternity. Well, first of all, thank you. It's a great pleasure to have you here. We're here in aeternity Universe 1, where the whole community is coming together. And one of the things that, for me, it's very important is to understand how people arrive to aeternity. So I wanted you to tell me a little bit how you connected to aeternity and you started working with us.
Right. So I was kind of purely coincidentally brought into this. So it was at the time that we were looking for new things to do, and Ulf Wieger called me up and said, "Oh, we have this thing going on in the blockchain sphere. Are you interested?" And we were interested to learn more about it. And of course, we knew blockchains a little bit from, I mean, it's a data structure that computer scientists need to know about, right. But we had never worked anyway in the blockchain area or in the blockchain sphere. And then he told us that Eric and Tobias were also working in the same area, in that same project. And I think we were interested in the blockchain, but mostly interested in working together with those people, because it's always a people thing in the end. So if you see that people you like and you esteem and say, "Oh, these are great developers," and you can join them, that's always a pleasure, of course.
It's forming the team.
Yeah, it's
right.
Getting the team right, having a nice team to work with, and doing something extremely exciting. That's really what drags you into it.
Right.
Also, that at that time there were no real requirements on what it should be. It was kind of open-ended. We didn't really know where to go. It was kind of, yeah, we want to do the greatest thing in the world, but we don't know really what. That was really a drive to, oh yes, nice, let's get it. You can build from scratch. You can do whatever you like, but it has to be top-notch, world-leading. That's fun, right? That's what you want to do. So yeah.
Finding the real, getting to work with the people that you trust and respect.
Yeah.
And I think it's true in any type of business that when you see, oh, so and so is in such a project, then you definitely start working, and having the ability to build from scratch and for start, I think it's an incredible experience.
Yeah.
And I mean, what have you thought about the conference and the meeting? Because now it's the first time like we meet and everybody meets together. What have you seen about the feeling around AU1 conference here?
Yeah. So as a core team member, you talk with the core team every day in the week, right? So you know your 17, 20 people that do this, right. But you don't hardly ever get in touch with the rest of the world, the community. Well, you see some blog posts, you read on the forum now and then, you have some meetings in right. developer meetups, but not really meeting the community. I think it's extremely important to do so, because you see what people really want, and you see where you are, and you say, oh, well, we might actually simplify getting there if we do this or that or that. So this connection with real world and the connection with the user demands is I think, essential to really make this a successful blockchain, right? You need to know what you are developing for
right.
in order to do the right
Here
thing.
Here you meet the end users, because you have
the end
all
users,
of the teams
yes, yeah.
That are also developing on the aeternity blockchain, which are your clients as the core.
Yes.
They're your clients. And I think with the integration of Starfleet and all these projects for Starfleet, it also helps you have a better understanding of the type of use cases that are coming.
Yes.
And sometimes that connection can be really, really, simple, something simple that you can tweak and make a world of a difference to the rest of the community.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask you, what are the exciting things that you're working on now?
There's so many exciting things, but I think I worked a little bit on naming recently. That was a smaller thing, but I liked it to bump into some other areas that I hadn't touched before. But mainly I'm working on kind of the quality assurance of the whole blockchain, in the sense of automatically generating test cases for this blockchain. So if you take a step back, it's an extremely complex blockchain. We have an enormous amount of different transaction types. You can do a spend, you can do a contract call, you can reserve a name, you can do all these things, and all these things are features of the blockchain. And of course, if you start testing that, then testing a feature will say, oh, let's write 4 test cases, I tested this feature. But if you want to really test, you have to test also the interaction between the features. And if you have a lot of features, then that is a quadratic amount of test cases that you need to write. But in a security-related area, that's not enough. So you would like to look at the triple feature. So how do a name reserved in a contract where you spend some money, how does that work, right? And there's a test for the spend in the contract, there's a test for name in a contract, but spending to a name in a contract that you also want to test.
And each one is a different case.
And it's a different case. And you want to combine it, so you want an extra test case. It's impossible to write that many test cases by hand. It's just undoable. It's more than quadratic. So you will have to write tens of thousands of test cases. No way you can do that. So we have this tool which automatically generates those test cases, meaningful test cases. And we, for example, for the names that I did, we have 5 transactions basically involved in that area. And I wrote the model for generating those test cases. And I said, oh, well, now I run 1 million tests. I feel reasonably confident that this will work. And Sergey will say, 1 million tests? Where did you find time to do that? Well, I didn't do that. I generated those tests. I can just run them and see that everything works. And I test all corner cases and all special areas and whatever, just to make sure it will work forever.
You know, what you're saying is very important, because it's not only building the infrastructure, but also testing it.
Absolutely.
And unless you do this type of thorough testing that we're doing with the blockchain, you really will not know that it will not break eventually.
Exactly.
So I think this is one of the most incredible parts, that it's a proven and a tested, blockchain. So you know that all the components work together.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Another very exciting thing to work on, if I can continue,
please.
is the fact that we do this updates now and then, which are consensus breaking. You can call them hard forks, but they are not really hard forks unless people really don't go with the consensus, right? So you can call them updates or whatever. But when you change the consensus protocol and that kicks in, you have to always keep compatible with the past. So you cannot just, we have a bug in our software, let's fix it. If that is a consensus breaking fix, you have to keep the bug in until the next one. Just that thinking and that software engineering complexity that will give, to always have to support the previous versions of your code as well, that's a challenge, and it's a very nice one. It's actually new to me, because normally I've always worked in projects where if you had found something, you improve your software and you don't have to care about the past. But now you have to care about the past. And how do you do that in a very structured and nice way? And that's the kind of questions we ask ourselves and we work for.
Past compatibility.
Yeah, because you still have to be able to validate transactions in the first few blocks, right? Because you will always have to be able to sync the whole chain. So you have to have the same validation on those first transactions, but you have completely new validations on the last one. So there are transactions in the first few blocks which are invalid now, but they were valid at that time. So you will have to keep that validation, but you don't want to validate the present transaction with that validation function. So you have to support the whole range, and that's exciting.
It's very complex, and what I see is that our engineering team is a very, very deep knowledge team that can, take these cases into account, and that's what gives us our stability.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much. It has been
Thank you for having me. Yep, it was nice.
It's a pleasure to having you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.